Welcome back to the Quick Speed Shop. It's Josh. We're back here today. We're working on the backyard gas station. Let me show you what we're going to do. As you can see behind me here, I've done a little bit of dirt work. My friend John brought his mini excavator over, and we did a little bit of digging out here. I'm just trying to get this thing ready. I think I'm going to pour the pump island later this summer / early in the fall. We also dug a big hole here for the sign post right there under the plywood. I got a 4-foot deep hole. So if you haven't seen this before, you can go back on the channel and watch the build series, but this is like a 1940s style gas station that I built with barnwood front end to simulate an old store. I got my Model A tow truck stored under the front, and eventually there's going to be a Tokheim pump. There's going to be a Tokheim sign, pump island, the whole 9 yards. This looks just like a 1940s roadside gas station. This in the office window here, the office, it's only about 2 foot deep. It's like a huge display case. That's going to put all my oil cans and all that stuff's going to be in there. And behind the windows, you can see all the oil cans when I put them in there. But today, after we're gonna go back in time, I'll show you the dirt work. We actually did it a couple nights ago. I'll show you the dirt work here, but then we're gonna build out. There's a bird. I just scared him. Hold on a second. It's a dove. I'll go back and I'll show you the dirt work here. But what I want to work on today, on the rest of the video, is I want to build the mount for the sign. I've got a 5-foot diameter Richfield double-sided enamel sign that's going to go on the gas station, and it's going to go on like a 8 or 9 foot pole, and I need a substantial base to hold it up, so we're going to build that today. Some dirt here into the F-250 in the dump box, and dug down all along the front here so I can slope this off for the stone for the pump island for the gas station. I want to slope the yard down into it and kind of swale it around so the water didn't all run in the gas station. But we're out here just finishing up. here's the signpost hole here, 4 foot deep. I'm going to put a sonotube in here and come up, you know, with a sonotube. I'll put some backfill around here. But I just wanted to cuff this down. The yard used to come and dump right on the stones. The stones are going to be under the concrete. Island's going to be here. And so I wanted to have a little bit. This is where you're going to display the car here in this section. So you lower that down and the water can run off here, run through the grass and around the building instead of running into the stones. And when the concrete island is here, the water can hit it and come around. So we cuffed that off. I just got to do a little bit of raking and straighten this out. Got one more load of dirt to dump out of the truck. And we're going to cover this up with some plywood so I don't end up falling in it. There's the gas station. So I'm hoping to get the gas station a little bit more buttoned up here before winter, before I lose the good weather. I want to do the pump island and get the signpost up so I can put the gas pump up, the sign, and it'll make a neat, you know, the visual display of it. I'm thinking about adding a bay off the end here, because right now I store the tow truck during the summer under the front, and then I put it in the side of the building afterwards. But I think I'll put a little like 10 by 16 lean-to right off the side here, so you would see the truck, you know, coming out of the front of the building. So like I'll be always ready for action here. I think I'm going to do that maybe in the fall. Just throw a real simple lean-to up, and then the front of the building here will be open for display action all the time, because obviously you wouldn't park your tow truck in front of your office. Nobody will get in the building. So I think that's my next plan. For the base of the sign here, I've got a piece of pipe, and I'll spin it around so you can see it. My dad actually dug this out. We had a flood back where we grew up back home, and it eroded along the creek bank, and it exposed this pipe. Let me spin it around here so you can see it. It's heavy. Oh. This is a super cool piece of like turn of the century riveted storm pipe. This was under the road, you know, like I said, they put it in turn of the century. It was about 8-10 feet long. I cut 2 sections off. I saved this one. This was the one end. It's all rusty here and wrinkled up on the end. And I saved another section. The middle of it was kind of damaged, so my dad ended up scrapping it. But I saved these 2 sections. Check it out. It's all riveted together. It's wrapped around and riveted. This end is janky. The other end is pretty round. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this, and I'm going to weld some pieces of tubing to this. This will be the bottom. And then make it about 4.5–5 foot tall, so it sticks out of the ground about a foot. And we're going to stick it in a hole, and this is going to be my caisson tube for the signpost. When I weld onto the side, it'll make it just a little bit wider on the outside. This is about 20-inch diameter now, so I'm going to get it out like 2 foot or so, and then wrap it with just like some sheet metal or mesh or something. Pour the whole thing full of concrete, put in some anchor bolts, and this will be the signpost base. But you'll see essentially sticking out of the ground, I'm going to leave about a foot of the riveted pipe with the rivets facing the gas station. And that'd be a really, really cool piece to show at the gas station, like just to help with the old time look of the thing. Like if you were building an old station and you had an old piece of turn of the century pipe, and say it's 1940 and you're building your gas station and the town dragged out a piece of pipe, you're like, hey, let me see that. You torch off a section, throw it in the ground, fill it full of concrete, there's your signpost base. Well, that's what we're doing today. Oh. Got it. All right, bam. Here's what I've come up with so far with this. I've taken some tubing I had, it's like 1 inch or 1.25 inches, something like that, and I cut it to 4 foot. I've marked out my line from 18 inches to the top. And I've drilled some holes. I'm going to plug weld these pieces of tubing to the pipe, and that'll give me my 4 foot diameter from here down and be 4 foot to put in the ground. And I'm going to weld these on, and then I think I'm going to take a piece of strap stock and bend it around here, and then loop it around here to tie this together. I got some rebar. I'm going to tag a couple of pieces of rebar just in the center to give it some steel in the center of the concrete and stiffen this up a little bit. And then we're going to take it and take it down a hole and flop it around. Or actually, I'll wrap this in sheet metal. I've got some 22 gauge sheet metal that's going to be real easy to bend. And I don't care if it gets all dinged up. It doesn't matter. It's just basically to hold the concrete in there. So I'm going to skin it with 22 gauge, you know, just weld it to these, and then we'll essentially have a big steel case-on sonotube thing that will it'll be a little bit wider on the bottom, so some dirt can sit on here and it's less likely to push out of the ground. Not that it would, it's going to be 4 feet in the ground, so it won't freeze. But all you'll see is this sticking out of the ground. All this will be buried, and this should be plenty of concrete to hold up that sign. It's only going to be about, I don't know, 14, 15 foot to the top at most. The sign probably weighs, you know, 40, 50 pounds. I'm going to face it this way through the wind, so the wind can't push on it, and this concrete's going to weigh, you know, hundreds and hundreds of pounds in the ground, so it should be plenty beefy enough to hold that signpost up. Okay, I wrapped a piece of 3/4 inch wide flat stock around the base of the pipe here. Hopefully I can get it off once I weld it, but I'm just going to weld her up real fast. This isn't precision or nothing. This is just making a hoop so I can put the hoop on the bottom, so it's close enough for what we're doing here. It's going to get buried in concrete anyways. So let me just stab it together. Just like that. Perfect. Now, hopefully I can get it off here. Ta-da! Now I've got a really crude ring that should go get right in the inside of this. Actually, I'm going to put it in about here. Look at that. Bam. I'll just need to get this laid out. I'll measure down the same distance from each of these legs. Woo, it's hot. I grabbed it where it got welded. Right about here, these got some kind of tape on them, but I'll measure up here. I'll get this evened up, but that is going to give me my shape so I can, when I wrap my sheet metal on here, actually I should put it down here a little bit further. That'll give me a shape for the sheet metal to, you know, to wrap around here so I can, it'll follow along with what I want to do. But that worked out pretty good. Not too bad for just winging it. Man, I'm like a Picasso. Check this thing out. So I found this smaller rebar I had that's not really good for too much, but it's perfect for this. So I went and I zinged across a couple of crosses up in here, and I zinged on some pieces. I got one stuck most of the way down. I don't want to put too many pieces down in here close to the top because I've got some big anchor bolts with some anchor plates that I got to go in there, so I don't want them to hit the rebar. So I just left that down, but this is plenty of steel in here. I'm ready now to wrap the sheet metal. I get out a piece of 22 gauge and we'll just wrap it and skin it right to here, and it'll make, you know, the containment for the concrete. That's really pretty much all it is, and then this thing will be ready to take out and set in a hole. Bam! Too bad it's like 85 degrees and humid out. That's going to be the hard part. Sweating's coming up next. Okay, I jumped ahead one step because I had a hard time hanging on to this and it fell like 15 times. But I've got the sheet metal cut out. This is 22 gauge, and I already tacked this edge here. I'm simply rolling it around, and I'm going to my other piece here. My sheets are only 4x4, so they're not big enough to wrap it in one piece. But I've already tacked this side. I'm simply going to come around to the second pipe over here. I'm going to have to do this in thirds, I guess, and clamp it over here. I don't have any like angled clamps or clamping on tubing, so it was real hard to hang on to it, but I got it now. So I'm just going to clamp this up, wrap around, clamp around, and then tack it up again. And we're essentially just going to skin this thing with sheet metal all the way around, and that'll make the make the caisson covering piece. Just skid on her. Skin it. Well, I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of the debauchery it took to get the sheet metal wrapped on here. Let's take a look. It's actually pretty beefy now. I tacked it all the way around. It was a real struggle. I just pieced it out of pieces I had. Like I used that one piece of 20 gauge or 22 gauge, and then this says 18, but it's actually 20, and then another piece of 20. So it's mostly 20 gauge sheet metal, I guess. But it's real stiff, and once I put it in the ground and backfill around it, all it's got to do is hold the concrete when it's wet. And it's plenty strong enough to do that. I mean, actually, they use cardboard caisson tubes to make pillars. So this is going to be good. Let me see if I can tip it here. You can maybe look down in it a little bit. Ooh, that's nasty. It's kind of nasty. It's a little offset. It's just kind of how it rolled out, but that's fine. It's all going to be below grade, so you're not going to see any of it. So it's good enough. It'll be right full of concrete. No problem. So the next thing I do is going to be take this down to the hole. I got to clean the hole out a little bit with the just flatten it out, and then probably tamp the bottom of it. Then we'll slide the sucker down in there and see. Hopefully, my dimension should be correct. The sheet metal is going to be underground. The pipe will stick above ground. So I know the hole's 4 foot deep. So let's wheel her on down there and get her installed. All right, bam, check this out. Got the hole here. It's 4 foot something down. I got Jack here. He's going to help me. I always pick the old guys to help with the heavy stuff. That makes sense.
I could be buried there.
He could be buried there. I was just in it. It's like shoulder high. So let's get this space capsule looking thing rolled up in there and see if it'll go. Just kind of.
You can control it.
Just like,
there's a code down there.
What?
You gotta get it.
I don't see it.
There you go.
It's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And it will level pretty easy too, I bet. Looks pretty level right there.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yep. There ain't even packing it down, it's so rocky.
I think you hit a gas line or something.
Don't worry about that fog, it won't hurt you.
But don't be here at night. Ready?
It's like London fog coming out of there.
I like when a big lump, a big gone, and it just keeps oozing out of the bottom there. Think about it. How about putting a little angle so you see it from the street? Just like this, you know.
Well, on the window will get it. You'll be able to see it
No,
from the street.
it'll be like a rudder.
You'll see it from the street. It's going to be 15 feet in the air driving. You'll see it. All right, so there we go. Got the base installed. It's backfilled as much dirt as I had to backfill it to lock it in with Jack there. And I put those couple of bags of dry mix I had that was getting kind of old, so I just want to throw it in the bottom. I actually got some water and I mixed it up, and that'll set up. It's only going to be like an inch or two in the bottom, just kind of lock in the bottom, sealed up, and then there's going to be another 4.5 foot of concrete poured on top of it, and there's rebar down into what I made there, so it should seal up fine. the sign's not going to weigh that much. With the post weighs probably 100 pounds or more, and then the sign, or a little bit more, and then the sign is like 40-50 pounds. So there's going to be plenty of concrete here, hundreds and hundreds of pounds of concrete in the ground, so it should be plenty to anchor it. And I'm going to get some crusher run and backfill the rest of this, or crusher run up to here, then topsoil it to really lock her in there good. But we got the signpost installed, did some dirt work here at the gas station. I'm going to slowly be working on this thing here into the late summer, early fall. I want to get this where the front of the gas station is. I want to get that formed up, pour the pump island, pour the signpost base, and then get the sign up, and start thinking about mounting up the gas pumps, do some more dirt work out front, clean that up, and get this thing like functional. So I did today. Glad we waited till tonight because it's still super humid out and I'm sweating to death. We got her in here, custom sonotube-ish base out of 100-year-old storm pipe for the gas station sign, for the backyard gas station. More cool stuff coming your way. Bam, you like it, here at the Quick Speed Shop. I'm a professional, don't try this at home.